Have you ever heard of a woman who lived through 4 emperors and still managed to stay in charge? Let me introduce you to Empress Dowager Xiaozhuang, or as her friends once knew her, Bumbutai. She was born in 1613 into the Qing Mongols. At just 13 years old, she married Huang Taiji, the guy who later renamed his state Qing and set the stage for China's last dynasty. At first, she wasn't the star wife, more like the supporting cast. In fact, she was officially ranked at the bottom of the emperor's top 5 wives, which put her out of the running for a medal, but at least she was in the top 5. But various circumstances, her son, Shunzhi, ended up on the throne, and suddenly the spare wife became the very first Empress Dowager of the Qing Dynasty. Later, when her grandson, the legendary Kangxi Emperor, took power, she got promoted again to Grand Empress Dowager. Talk about claiming the corporate ladder of imperial China. Just as a side note, a dowager is basically a rich widow who got her lands and/or title from her deceased spouse. The awkward family tree. Now, here's something that will sound, let's say, unusual to our modern and common ears. Bumbutai didn't just marry Huang Taiji. Her aunt and older sister also married him. Yep, same husband. Why? Love triangle? Nope, it was politics. Back then, Mongol and Manchu marriages were basically business deals. Political marriages were as common, if not more common in China as in Europe. If marrying off 3 women from the same clan secured an alliance, hey, so be it. For them, this wasn't scandalous, just strategic. Rise to power. So how did she, the spare wife, end up shaping Chinese history? Well, after Huang Taiji died, things got messy. Power struggles everywhere. Enter Dorgun, Huang Taiji's ambitious half-brother. He teamed up with Xiaozhuang to put her son on the throne. Rumors flew that Bumbutai and Dorgun had a special friendship. Did she really romance him? Historians argue endlessly. But whether or not there was anything to the rumors, one thing is clear: she was politically savvy. Her son Shunzhi got the throne thanks to the balance of powerful factions, not romance novels. But Bumbutai had to play it smart. For years, she lived separated from her son, carefully navigating between regents, power-hungry nobles, and Confucian misters who thought women should just stay quiet. Mother versus son. Xiaozhuang and Shunzhi didn't always get along. Big shock. A teenage emperor with absolute power disagreed with mom. But it wasn't pretty squabbles over dirty dishes and old socks left in the living room. They had a series of very different political wills. Number 1, he wanted to bring in more Han Chinese culture. Number 2, she was proud of her Mongol roots and thought too much Han stuff was bad luck. Number 3, he wanted to marry his favorite girl, Dong Efei. She said nope, classic family drama, but with emperors and dowagers instead of in-laws and teenagers. The Kangxi Project. When Shunzhi died young, leaving an 8-year-old boy on the throne, Xiaozhuang got a second chance. This boy was Kangxi would go down as one of China's greatest rulers. And Grandma Bumbutai, the Grand Empress Dowager Xiaozhuang, was there to get him to greatness that she proved off Of course, she was basically his life coach. She chose his tutors, carefully picked his advisors, and even used a clever marriage alliance to keep dangerous ministers in check. When one super powerful regent named Aobai started acting like he was emperor, Xiaozhuang set the stage for young Kangxi to pull off a daring coup. The boy emperor trapped Aobai with a group of wrestlers. Boom! Problem solved. Without grandma's planning, he might never have succeeded. Final mystery. Even in death, Xiaozhuang kept people guessing. She lived to 75, an incredibly long life for the 1600s. And when she died, she wasn't buried with her husband Huang Taiji. Cue the conspiracy theories. Was it because she loved Dorgun? Was it because of palace drama? Well, the boring truth is probably this. Huang Taiji had been cremated, and by Xiaozhuang's time, cremations were out and coffins were in. You can't exactly put ashes and a coffin in the same tomb. Why she matters. So, why is Xiaozhuang legendary? Because in a world where women were supposed to stay in the background, she managed to rule behind the curtain for decades, guiding two boy emperors, holding the empire together through rebellions, palace scandals, and cultural clashes. She wasn't just the grandmother of Kangxi, she was the grandmother of the Qing Dynasty itself. And that, my friends, is the story of Bumbutai, the teenage bride who grew into the grandmother who held an empire together and made even the wildest Game of Thrones plotlines look tame.